Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in today really on a great viewer question, and I think this will prove very enlightening, and that is really to look at and understand really sort of a personality profile of a female psychopath and how to manage, how to handle this situation, this experience that has basically become, an issue or a conundrum in your life. Meaning it's confusing, it's causing a lot of fog, it's causing a lot of sort of trepidation. And they're difficult to understand until you really understand what you're dealing with. When you're dealing with a female psychopath, you have to understand that these individuals, they have no conscience. So it's completely empty from the ground up, from the bottom down. They don't have it in their gut. They don't have it in their heart. They don't have it in their mind. They are not wired that way. So you have to understand the severity, the seriousness, and the impact that this carries. If you are literally dealing with somebody who does not have a conscience, it's almost like an appendage where if you don't have it, your functioning is going to be different. However, when we are talking about this, we are talking about a deficit, an appendage, if you will, just as if you had lost a limb. Let's say you lost a foot, a knee, a leg, okay, it would be very apparent. And you would not be able to walk, so you'd have this mobility deficit. When we're talking about a female psychopath, we're talking about the wiring of the brain that is structurally and significantly different than the rest of the population. The rest of the population, we're talking about the other 99%. Okay, so when you're dealing with a female psychopath, you're really dealing oftentimes with a 1%er. A 1%er. So the more people that you meet or come across in your day, the more that, the odds are that you're going to meet one of these individuals. So it could be in your family, it could be in your workplace, it could be in your marriage, it could be in your dating, it could be in your community, where you will ultimately experience no one is immune or inoculated from this. Because, it's really all in the numbers. But these are the 1%ers. So these individuals have no conscience. Structurally, the way that their brain is wired, just as a quick, basic, just understanding. So you have to understand who and what you're dealing with. I mean, serious, period, end of story. Just as if you would, hold the door for someone with a wheelchair, you need to adapt and adjust your behavior, your mindset, and your values, and your sort of knowing what to do, how to carry yourself, and how to behave. You need to correct and fix that when you're dealing with a psychopath. It's not business as usual for you. It should not be. But it will be business as usual for them. And you have to understand that even on the outside, these individuals appear normal, beautiful, charming, intelligent, highly educated, C-level executives, married professionals, not married, single. It runs the whole gamut. So there is no appearance from the outside that gives this away. Okay, there's no, male or female. There's nothing that gives it away. However, there is a predatory stare that the psychopath, you will feel. It's sort of sucked in like glue. Like you feel it's a predatory stare, which means a lot of people interpret it as sexual, and it feels as sexual and seductive and sort of provocative, if you will. Their energy is very provocative. It gets people either jumpy. It gets people aroused. It gets people laughing. It gets people on board. It gets people on the gravy train. Whatever it is, it gets people to date them. It gets people to hire them. It gets people to marry them. It gets people to be loyal and then disloyal. You have to understand, when you're dealing with a female psychopath, the lack of conscience means that they have, several structural differentials, going on. Just as a quick, so you understand, you're physically dealing with somebody who's different. Just once again, if you were to be dealing with someone who is handicapped, in a wheelchair or a walker, and you would adjust your behavior. Oh, yes, ma'am, let me get the door. Yes, sir, let me get the door. Let me step back so you can walk through. Let me adjust my pace. Just as you would naturally adjust your behavior. You need to understand that this needs to assimilate, which means is a psychological term, which means to incorporate that same behavioral change when you are dealing with someone with psychopathy. You need, just as if you're dealing with someone who is handicapped, you need to get, this is called reframing, understanding and putting things in a new sort of sequential order of meaning, and understand, how you digest this, how you get this, and you have to understand, so structurally, just very briefly, their amygdala, which is, really that fight or flight, that part of the brain which is activated in fear or self-preservation states. So when most people would naturally be fearful, go to help themselves or help a bystander, and they experience fear, this is a natural experience of fear. You're in traffic, you're walking, you slip, that's the amygdala. So these individuals who are psychopathic, they have very reduced activity in that amygdala, meaning that they don't experience that same fear. So where normally someone would say, oh no, I'm afraid to do that, this person doesn't feel that. They're not afraid to do that. This is the quote unquote fearless leader. Okay, so you have to understand that these people are wired differently. Their prefrontal cortex is wired differently for planning and learning. Their judgment and moral center, as well as number one, and then we're going to kind of get onto some behavioral things, is their dopamine receptors are highly sensitive, 5 times as sensitive than the normal individual, than the rest of the population. You're dealing with your 1%ers. So when they want something, when they are going for something, whatever it is that they want, a promotion, respect, maybe they want people who they can boss around. Maybe they want people who they can get under their wing and get really close and tight with, but then sort of plot and plan and change the structural organization of things. Trust me when I explain. We're going to go into this, but they're dopamine receptors, which means when people want something and you're rewarded, like let's just say you planned for a vacation and then you're finally going. And then it's like, that's the neurochemical of dopamine. Okay. So that's like but these individuals, the 1%ers, your female psychopaths, they are hypersensitive, meaning when they are rewarded, they're like really rewarded. Their neurochemistry is receiving 5 times the amount. So it gives them this sort of surge, sort of high energy, high risk behavior, sort of fearless, which seems like a leader, or they seem very strong, but oftentimes there is no feeling inside. There is no emotions, and there is no conscience. I mean, the gravity and the carryover and the impact of this knowing this to be the case. So science proves it. But not many, female psychopaths are not diagnosed. If ever, because they don't take themselves to therapy, because they will never feel that anything is wrong with them, because oftentimes they've got this fearlessness, and they view others as sort of inhibited by regular emotions. So you have to understand that they look truly at others as pawns to be moved to their discretion and at their whim and at their desire, and what is quote unquote rewarding for them. And oftentimes the problem with what's rewarding for these individuals is a power game. Deliberate and pre-calculated power game, meaning that they oftentimes take pleasure, that hyperarousal, remember that freedom that you feel, or that when you hit a goal that you've been working for, you just finished a project, or you just found a good food item, or you're going on vacation, you've got that feel good dopamine. So these individuals get that experience of dopamine, just like you get when you go on a vacation, from hurting others, from destroying others, from ruining others' lives, from injuring them just enough to see them writhe and struggle and go through emotional upheaval and psychological distress, which includes brainwashing and gaslighting, which is on parallel with cults. CULTS, cults. Have you ever heard of cult behavior? Have you ever seen the aftermath of a cult behavior where the Jamestown, just research a little bit to understand this is serious. This is not funny. It's not like, wow, well, I've got a challenge to deal with at work. It's like, no, you have a real situation on your hands to manage in your life. Like this, whether you ask for this from the universe or not, you are now in the presence of a situation that you need to handle. You need to understand very clearly, with no misunderstanding. We're talking at a level of 100%. You need to understand what it is that you're dealing with, and what you need to do to manage the situation and navigate this with grace and with ease. And it takes some learning and some education, so we're going to keep it easy. But number one, you have to understand that, why is this? This is, you can hit Snakes in Suits. The Psychopath Next Door. You can read these books if you want to read it. But on a video, this video member said, he's not really into like psychological terms, but he described her as a Schadenfreude. A Schadenfreude, which is basically a pleasure derived from another person's misfortune. And so that's really, psychopathy. When they seeing others, this is from a German word, Schaden, which means to harm, and then Freud, which means joy. So harm merged with joy becomes Schadenfreude. It's, harm plus joy. Again, these are chemicals that I liken this to, that are chemicals in a science beaker that you should not be putting together. Harm and joy. This, do you see how this gets a bad chemical reaction? Your experience with these people will be chemical in nature. We need to understand what you are experiencing. Whatever it is that's up with them, like you said in your comments, it doesn't matter if you label them a psychopath, a borderline, a sociopath, a bippity boppity boop, a Cinderella, a Nonarella, a vampire, whatever label, it does not matter. Okay, you need to understand in coming to terms with this type of individual. You need to, yes, become educated about what you're dealing with, but more importantly, you have to keep that balance and understand what is happening with you in yourself chemically. Okay, in a cult. Would you willingly want to walk in right now and give up your psychological freedom to be brainwashed by a cult? Would you willingly like to set that up for yourself in your life? You can ask yourself that right now in the privacy of these videos. Would you willingly like to say, yep, peace and harmony, you know what, that sounds like a fine endeavor. I would like to lose everything that I have in my life, including my bank account, my home and shelter, my food, my garage, and my family, and my job. I would willingly, yes, I would like to give that up. And please take me to that place, wherever, in the woods, in the camp, where, would you, so willingly right now, would you like to, raise your hand if because you need to understand that you need to get in touch with this question. You need to get in touch with your free will. Okay, that is outside of this energy, chemically within yourself. So you need to come to terms with what you are feeling. Everybody wants to go, ooh, this person, this is what they did. They went into this office. They did this and this to this person. They did this and this to the accounts. At the workplace, you'll be boggled. And, but the other thing is the charm, where once again, it is not visible. So you have to understand chemically, you are going to experience the feeling, around these people. You have to understand that even if these individuals will act dumb, play dumb. You said, this is textbook, okay? Where they'll act, this is how they seduce those, this is how the 1%ers get you into their little playpen. They will, this is John Wayne Gacy. That was another psychopath who would lure victims into his car, saying that he had broken his arm. He was just coming home from the hospital. Could somebody please help him, fill his gas? And he would have a specific type of target. It goes way back just to, and then innocent people, oh, yes, sir, I see your arm is in a cast. Let me help you. Do you see how, and they use that to drop people's guard down. You need to break it down. You need to understand what they are doing here. You need to step back. You need to review the interactions outside of the workplace. You need to understand what is going on. The design of these people. Okay, and okay, so it's just understanding that these individuals will have this play dumb, asking others for information. And right away, if they come down in crawling on their knees, I'm trying to find this little, help me. I've got a wound on my back, and I'm crawling in, and I'm like not really sure if I can make it in this job. I'm in this new promotion, and I don't know if I'm really up, if I'm really cut for this. What do you guys think? Right now, they're just fishing at 6 a.m. in the morning. They're throwing out their lure. They've got their fishing poles all ready. The psychopath is like, this is the great part. This is the love bombing. This is where all the low-hanging fruit comes swinging through the trees and into the wind and then just right into my basket. This is the ultimate perfect scenario, the perfect storm, the perfect setup for a female psychopath. The pity party, the I don't know this information, and then they sort of bleed others for support. Notice the word support. Right away, she's got a champion. Right away, you've got a victor. Right away, you've got somebody on your team, because poor, pitiful, whoever, is new and, please come help me. My arm is broken. So people right away, it gets others to drop their guard down. Easy trust. Oh, this person would not harm me. They're not sure of their position. Do you see how it gets people into a mind twist where you drop the guard down? This person would not hurt me. They're new here. They're rough around the edges. Let me welcome them to the team. Let me drop my guard down and open up. So do you see, this is a manipulation tactic. This is predetermined. This is pre-calculated. This is premeditated. This is business as usual that they get better at for a psychopath. There's different degrees of how good they get, but when they go up in an organization, they are seeking to get to whatever it is that they want in that organization. Whether it's a big fat paycheck, a promotion, usually power, usually something where they can just sort of, once again, whatever it is that they want. They might want a chair of furniture from the break room. They'll want strange things. Whether it's companionship, you will see that they will work on other people's needs that they did not know that they needed to be treated like, giving, oh, good job over there, when no one is giving this person a pat on the back. Now this person's got a new best friend. This person over there, no one ever takes me to lunch. All of a sudden, this gal, here she goes taking you to lunch. No one has ever come to me on break. Here they go. This person just happens to, flying off the wind, off the east wind. Oh, let me just breeze by your desk and say hello. They have a way of sussing out and sizing up people through their body language, okay? More than you would know yourself that you are putting off and emitting. You have to understand that you and everybody else is emitting vibes, energy. Thoughts are things. So you have an energetic vibration, a signature, if you will, that's sending off a specific message. So a female psychopath will find right in there where it is in between the ribs, and behind the stomach, behind the heart, and towards the liver. They'll do, a C-line twist and, punch your liver from the other side while you're not looking. I mean, it's very serious. And when I say ruin, I'm not like, oh, it could potentially be ruined. You could be devastated. You could, have big trouble. I'm talking, ruined. I'm talking big trouble. I'm talking about professional trouble, financial trouble, legal trouble, sexual trouble, health trouble, psychological trouble, happiness. I mean, let's just say the whole gamut, okay? And it's usually on a level that most people have not encountered before. So that's why they all of a sudden find themselves in the muck with these people. I mean, it's like a whole nother country. You have to understand, you're all of a sudden dealing, if you're in a swampland and you don't have a raft and you're only trying to wade through, you're going to not have all the tools that you need. You have to understand how to deal with this, neurochemically. I mean, so this is just a brief sort of glossing over, but, in order to deal with it, and this is, important, is that you understand that you have to do the pattern interrupt. You have to not get sucked in or seduced in all of your senses into them energetically, meaning the plane of your body, your heart. Okay, your heart is emitting energy, your body. You need to adjust your physical behavior, taking ownership of how you stand. If you're in interaction with this person, you don't go facing them like this. You go facing them with your shoulder, and then you're sort of, this is sort of more like your arm is in front of you a little bit. So you're you need to declare a physical boundary. You need to declare a physical boundary. You need to, because what's within is your energy, and you don't want them in there. So you want to understand that energetically you're dealing, once again, mindset with a handicapped person. I have to change my behavior. I have to slow it down. I have to speed it up. I have to look somewhere differently, and I have to listen to things differently. And I have to be careful with my communication, because you don't want to engage with them in sort of a good and bad. You want to remain very neutral and indifferent. Indifferent, yes. Not a lot of colorful terms, not giving away any emotions. There's so much more to this. I mean, we could go on and talk about this for hours. Because there's so much content, and we will do other follow-up videos. And I've done some previously, but we can do an updated, talk about this. But not giving them eye contact, the portals to what's within your soul. You're not going to, if you have to be with them at the workplace, you're not giving them eye contact. You're looking at the eyebrows or above. You're looking at the top of the earlobe or above. You're softening your gaze. You're not, like this to them, you're softening your gaze a little bit, kind of not squinting your eyes, but, and looking, either right above or elsewhere, and understanding and filtering within, because they're going to come at you with this energy which sort of exudes like a pressure, like a tension, like a seduction. And once again, it's that dopamine, it's that fearlessness, it's this bad combo in a beaker that you are encountering in your life. So you have to know how to not interact with that toxicity. that they're going to sort of tempt and tease, get you to be reactive, get you to jump, get you to always think about them. This is how they break you down. You need to just understand, in your mind and heart, I'm dealing with someone who has a handicap. Despite the appearances, like you have to understand that's how you have to adjust. You have to understand it's going to take an energetic shift that you have to create and develop and cultivate and ignite from within, even though it doesn't look like it. But once you have enough evidence from what you've seen, what you've heard, what you're understanding, and what you're feeling, and we're going to talk more about this, that you can understand that you can make these adjustments so that you can interact innocuously. Just like we're in the midst of a pandemic, you see people putting on the gear. I mean, it is you need to gear up. This is an energetic protection, just to the extent and to the level of seriousness, of the world, crisis right now, the world, global pandemic health crisis, to the degree that those frontline workers put up their protection. I mean, that's the level of energetic and emotional protection you need to have surrounding you. I mean, that is your boundary in. That should be without a doubt that you should be protecting yourself. Number one is to understand that from this toxic, sardonic energy that can be very pushy, and that seems like it's very personal. See, it's oftentimes felt to be very personal because the energy that they exude is so harsh and so magnanimous, meaning it sort of replaces everything that you can feel. That's what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to wipe out your disk, wipe out your hard drive, of what you know what to do, and your values and your common sense. They're trying, and so that then there becomes this then fear, and then this sort of zombie-like followers that they get of people. There's so much more, but we will talk about these in upcoming videos. So please take the heed. Please, do the protection for yourself. Understand energetically that there's something here that you can face and deal with, but it doesn't mean that it's going to make you sick, or distract you from your work, or keep you from, having panic and things like these. So know that a lot of these tools of understanding is like your protection. So like knowledge of it, and then how to change, your behavior physically so that you're, like, again, dealing with a handicap, holding the door. What does it feel like for you? What does it physiologically feel like when you can deal with this safely, like gracefully, with ease? And we'll deal with this more in another video. And then the pattern interrupt, and changing your behavior will definitely help you to clear your personal space, so you're unaffected by this individual. They'll be able to flow through and be and do whatever it is that they need to do. And we'll talk more about this in future videos. So thank you so much for your sharing of your experience. And to all of our viewers, I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support. Peace be with you, and have a beautiful day.